Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator, thanks for being with us. You announced yesterday that you will be a no on the vote for Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation. Was that because of these allegations from Christine Ford?
Well, I take these allegations very seriously, and I am glad to hear that on the Judiciary Committee we are going to give them an open hearing. But my reasons for voting against Judge Kavanaugh are deeply rooted in my grave concerns about his extreme views on presidential power. That's the main thing I focused on in questioning him. He's also got ways in which he has spoken and written and decided on issues about individual liberty and our understanding of the Constitution in the modern era that I think are also outside the mainstream. So I thought it was important to make it clear that I already have heard enough to, in my view, justify a no vote, and I intend to fully participate in what I expect will be an open and fair process where Dr. Ford's disturbing allegations are going to be given full weight.
Senator, do you take Dr. Ford's allegation at face value?
I do, and I'm encouraged, frankly, to hear Republican leaders also saying that we need to listen to her and take this seriously because, frankly, this is about more than one nomination to the Supreme Court, more than one judicial nomination. This is about whether we as a country have gotten to the point where we listen to women who raise accusations of sexual assault. I do think that we should take President Trump at his word and ensure that everyone is heard and that there is a full process. That requires the FBI to do some background investigation here so that it's not simply a he said, she said testimony that's in front of us next Monday. We need a fuller development of the facts.
Yeah, Senator Noah Ruffman from Commentary Magazine. It seems like a full development of the facts is going to be difficult to assess here. I mean, understandably, so much time has elapsed, and the victim has not, or the alleged victim has not had the opportunity to really fully engage these memories, and so the FBI doesn't have a lot to go on. We don't have a place, we don't have a time, we have very limited corroborating evidence. Witnesses are going to be difficult to find. It's going to be hard to assess these facts in a really, very thorough, strong fashion. So can this victim, alleged victim, who's in front of you testifying, can she receive a fair hearing? Is this process in any way fair to her? It's going to expose her to quite a lot of scrutiny that, frankly, I don't know if she has the ability to stand up to, understandably, again. So is this process in any way going to clarify, or is it simply going to make a bad situation worse?
Well, that's exactly what I think is going to make Monday a very fraught hearing. It would not be that difficult for investigators, particularly in the age of social media, to find high school classmates of both Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford and to interview what I suspect is a few dozen of them who will have recollections and have insights into whether or not Judge Kavanaugh routinely was someone who drank in high school, whether or not he attended social events like this, and then, frankly, whether or not Dr. Ford confided in friends or classmates that she'd been the victim of assault. To have just the two of them in front of us without Judge Kavanaugh's classmate, Mark Judge, also in front of us would strike me as reducing this literally to just a he said, she said session. I do respect that Senator Feinstein delayed releasing this letter exactly because Dr. Ford was so uncomfortable with coming public, and that's for exactly the reasons you just referenced in your question. This will be a difficult national spectacle for her to go through. And I think it's incumbent on all of us on the Judiciary Committee have to take extra steps to make sure we are both respecting an assumption of Judge Kavanaugh's innocence and listening to and deeply respecting the courage it took for Dr. Ford to ultimately come forward with this allegation.
Senator, but your description of what you would hope would take place, using social media to perhaps seek out people who knew the woman 36 years ago, that just has a rounded description of the potential of this turning into an even larger circus than it might actually become. I mean, forensically, 36 years ago, we have two different stories. What would you ask as an opening question of Judge Kavanaugh? What would you ask?
Well, you know, the good news is we have several members of the Judiciary Committee who are experienced prosecutors. I am not an experienced prosecutor. Both Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Kamala Harris are former prosecutors from their respective states. As I've been turning over in my head in the last day what sorts of questions I will ask Monday, I'll tell you, as someone who's never investigated or prosecuted a sexual assault case, it is going to be difficult for this to be a constructive and meaningful engagement. But the thing I know is that I've got very little in the way in front of me in facts. These two individuals, Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh, attended small, elite, private high schools here in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. And my hunch is that the list of who their classmates were, a sense of who their social companions were, would be very easy to assemble. What concerns me is that, at least as of last night, President Trump has not directed the FBI to engage in any background investigation to assess the credibility of what evidence there is.
So, Senator, I just, final question. I just want some clarification here. So, Dianne Feinstein was given this letter a few months ago. She didn't reveal the letter because Dr. Ford requested anonymity. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah. So what changed between then and last week when Dianne Feinstein decided to release the letter? Had she been given permission by Dr. Ford to release the letter last week?
No. Well, my understanding is two things. First, Dr. Ford then hired a lawyer, and there was a fair amount of back and forth with Deborah Katz, her attorney, about whether there'd be another letter forthcoming, whether she would be willing to testify or not. And I respect that Senator Feinstein was principally respecting repeated assertions by her attorney that Dr. Ford wanted to remain confidential or anonymous. I believe it was a leak. I believe it was a leak to the media that compelled this. I believe it was a leak to the media of the underlying letter that ultimately forced Senator Feinstein's hand.
And where did that leak come from?
I have no idea.
Who else had the letter other than Dianne Feinstein's office?
I don't know that. My hunch is that there were folks on committee staff who had seen the letter, and I don't know whether the chairman of the committee had been told about or had seen the letter.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator Coons. We appreciate it. It's certainly worth a follow-up. Nina Totenberg, Robert Bork,